Hello, good evening. Good evening. My name is Kwabena. Welcome. Good evening. I want to share with you what I call clarity of thought. Clarity of thought. Clarity of thought. If you were born in a developing country, in a third world nation, in an environment where you had to grow up with a lot of things that were disorderly, if you had to grow up in an environment where poverty was prevalent, you didn't see a lot of organization, they affect the way you look at life. They affect the way you think, and they affect the way they affect your output. They affect the way you work. They affect the things that they affect your values. They affect your character. They affect even your heart, the sensitivity that you have for people. They affect your credibility. They affect almost everything. Now, the same environment that we grew up in, that did not offer a lot of excellence, will end up demanding excellence from us, demanding results from us, demanding quality from us. And this same environment, this same culture, this same place that we grew up did not put that kind of excellence in us. And so from the point where you start to realize that if you're going to give quality results, better results, a lot of excellence, you have got to clarify your thought in terms of what you grew up with, what was made available to you, and the kind of results that you will get. And so our heart, our humanity has been affected by the kind of environment that we grew up in. Our honesty level has been affected. You see, the thing about it is that if you demand the resource and the resource is not coming, after a while you have to question a lot of things. You have to question a lot of things that you grew up with, a lot of assumptions that they push on you, a lot of assumptions that they push on us. And when you are growing and you see that all these assumptions were there, they told us that they will give results, and after all these years they are not giving results, we have to question them. Because other than that, then you will just produce the same results that the environment that you grew up in had on you and had on me. So clarity of thought, the level of clarity that we have in our thinking will prove the level of results and how much excellence that we get to do with our lives. The results that we produce will depict the kind of clarity that we had in our thought, or that we have in our thought. The clarity in terms of things that you seem as normal, or the things that you get angry over. When you pass sometimes when you pass the waste in the market where we sell food, and you see all this waste packed for days there. When you pass, when you pass around and you see the dirt, do they get you to think and question, or you just pass around and you just say, okay, somebody's responsibility is to make sure that all this waste is off the market? Or when you pass the madman who is naked on the street, what crosses your mind? Because a lot of these things that we will see as normal, some people who grew up in another environment will see it as very much abnormal. It's the clarity of thought. We cannot produce quality results until we page the kind of quality of thought that we have, until we clarify our thinking process. If you see, sometimes you go to the trotro station, and sometimes you look at the car that you're taking, and you look at it, and do you ever ask yourself that, is this car supposed to take human beings, or is because you just grew up with it, you accept them as normal? Sometimes when you go to the classroom, you go to the remotest part of our countries, and you see the environment that children are going to school, do you just see them and you just say that, okay, this is what we have, we are coming from a poor country and this is normal, or you become angry with it? Do they get your attention? Sometimes when you go to the place, the public place where people go to ease themselves, when you see the amenities there, do you get angry, or you just put up with it because you grew up with it? A lot of the things, a lot of the substandards that we grew up with, a lot of the things that are unacceptable, that have become acceptable to us, will affect the way we look at life and the way we make a lot of decisions. The character. If you're handling documents and if you're doing something, do you just accept the way things are done because that is the norm, or you demand excellence? Until your thought pattern, until your thoughts are of quality, you cannot produce quality results. Until you see that which is not acceptable and start to do something about it, you cannot produce the right results. And so it is on all of us, yourself, myself, those of us who were born in an environment that is yet to be organized. That is yet to be organized. If you look at the prisons that we have, where we put human beings there, sometimes you watch it and you just look at it and say, okay, it's a government duty. And it's like, it's not human beings that are there. And all these things numb our thinking, and it gets to a point where we don't get our thought right, and then then you end up becoming a leader somewhere, and they demand the same people, the same environment, the same country, the same district, the same town that did not put a lot of excellence in you, now would demand a lot of excellence from you. The same. Corruption is just the product of lack of clarity in thinking. Cheating and lying, and a lot of things that we put up with and we see them as normal. Destroying people that we don't need to destroy. Lying and all the things that we compromise on. It's because we grew up in an environment that did not place a lot of demand in terms of excellence in the way we look at life. And so until you clarify your thought, until you work on your mindset, until you deal with a lot of the things, we deal with a lot of things that we have accepted as normal, no matter what demand that they place on us, we will not be able to come through and give better results, no matter whoever is demanding. Sometimes they just want to use religion to demand morals. They want to use all kind of things to demand morals and excellence from us. You cannot produce an excellent result that environment place in you excellence. And if that environment did not place in you excellence, then you have got to know that you have grown up with a thinking pattern, with a thought pattern that is not clarified, that is not clear. You have to sit back and look at the things that we all have put up with and accepted as normal, which really should not be accepted as normal. I hardly will compare our continent with another country, because I think that all countries in the world, are all below the 50% mark of excellence, But some countries are so much below, and some countries are a bit more up, but we are all failing anyway, because we may be failing in terms of maybe how we deal with our waste, maybe how we deal with our health systems, maybe how we deal with our education, how we take care of our people, the children, the women, or the elderly people. But some people may have handled this, but they still have problems. They may have problems with racism, with discrimination. They may overtax their people. So all countries have all kind of issues. But when your issues are so much low grade, and so you if you are like me, or if you grew up in Africa, we have to up with a lot of and excuse me to say, a lot of debt in how we process our thought. And so that's why we are, a lot of people just are substandard. You go to places where people work and it's so much substandard, but they because they have lived in it for all this while, they have no problem with it. You go to places where you see that the waste is not managed, the water does not come, the electricity is not coming anyhow, we are treated anyhow, we are maltreated anyhow. We put up with them because that is what we grew up with. And if you are not clarified, the worries of others never get to you. The problems of others never get to you. If you're not clarified in your thoughts, you become very much self-focused and selfish. And so far as it benefits you and your family, it benefits me and my family and my career, that is all that I commit. If you're not clear, if your thoughts are not clarified, you have no passion and no compassion for the pains of others. If your thoughts are not worked on, the poverty does not get your attention at all. You only become focused on what benefits you. When others are being manhandled, if your thoughts are not clarified, they never get to you. The pain of our people never get to you because you've been numb, just as I've been numb. We grew up in. But this cannot be an excuse. We only have to work on it. If you go to a government institution and you're given a bad customer service, we just walk off. A lot of us will never challenge the institution, we never challenge anything. You go to any business place, they give you very bad customer service or they are trying to cheat you, you will never, because all of our lives, that's all that we have grown up with. But the moment you start to get clarity in your thinking, you start to ask questions, especially questions that devalue our human life, that denigrate, things that compromise our way of life, things that affect the way our people live. So the more clarified you are in your thought, the more you start to look at issues and you start to fight for the dignity of people, for the dignity of our people, and for the dignity of everybody around you. And so Africa is not going to develop unless we clarify our thoughts. Okay, whoever becomes the president, his number one job will be to help his people to get clarity in our thinking. We cannot continue to do things the way we continue to do them and still expect ourselves that one day, we will overcome the poverty, we will overcome the illiteracy, we will overcome the lack, and we will overcome all the things that as a people until we clarify our thoughts. And when your thoughts are not clarified, you only respond to the things that only work for you, that only serve your interests. The disturbances never get to you. When your thoughts are not clarified, when you are hurting other people, you don't care. When you are destroying people, you don't care. The pain of the poor never get to you because your thoughts are not clear. When your mind is off, when you are making a lot of noise somewhere, sometimes you see a lot of these people who make a lot of noise. Maybe they're organizing a party in a residential area. They make a lot of noise, they blast a lot of noise, and they beat it to the deepest, to the night, maybe 12, 11, making a lot of noise. Because for them, so far as it's a party for them, everybody else does not matter. Those kind of symptoms, those kind of signals, those kind of things that we see around is because people are not clear in the way they process information. And so all around our people, all around our country, you can see that there's a lot of work that we have to do in terms of the way that we handle our thoughts. And the clarity, the closer that we are, or the best of quality that we are, or the best of quality in terms of thinking, will go a long way to affect the kind of results that we have. So far, our results prove that our thoughts are not that much clear. It is not a put down. It just means that we have to be is affecting our way of life. Sometimes when you say this, some people may think that you're just trying to be negative. It's not negative. The more clarified we are in our thinking, the more priority we will give to the things that are very much important to us. If you're not clarified in our thought, we will just focus on things that will never change, that will never improve our situation. You want to develop as a continent. You want to overcome the poverty. You want to overcome the illiteracy. You want to overcome a lot of things and be in the development of nations. Yet our choices don't support that. Why? It's because we're still not clear in our thought. You want to help your family to overcome poverty, yet the little resources you still waste it on things that will not improve, that will not change the poverty, and that will not bring prosperity. It's because you're still not thoughtful. Your thinking are not clear. and that means that you are going to enjoy the poverty for a very long time. And so when you are clear in your thought, you ask questions. You seek clarification. You ask why things have been done the way it's been done, and yet we are not getting results, and nobody seems to be ordered. When your thoughts are not clarified, you continue to just keep the status quo. You just do what is required of you, and you don't really care what results that you get, because you are not setting. Your thoughts are still clumsy. It's not been separated. And so if you see, even in our personal lives, sometimes you can see a young man, you can see that his thoughts are not clarified because he's so much confused. He's trying to do everything at the same time. The very things that will help him to get his life organized, his attention is not there. When you see a very disorganized society, when you see a very disorganized life, when you see a very disorganized environment, they just prove that the thoughts are not clear. We have not clarified the thoughts, because everything that we see physical, they are just proof of what we process here. And the moment we start to organize our thoughts, that's the moment that things will show as organized. So when you see any confused environment, when you see any confused people, when you see poverty, is a sign that the thoughts are not organized, the thoughts are not clear. When you see a lot of things that don't work as demanded, as required, is because the thoughts are still not being set rightly. So clarify your thought. If there are things that you don't like and you don't want to see them the way they are, you have to organize the thought. If you don't, they will continue to be as they are. And so all our choices are coming from the clarity of our thought. All our decisions are coming from the clarity of our thought. People can buy deception. People can put a lot of things on God. People can put a lot of things on government. A lot of things can be put on things that you have not questioned. I like questioning things that we had growing up, and which they still continue to tell us the same thing, and they've been telling us that the results will change, and they have not changed. If the results have not changed after all these years, it means that we are not clear in terms of what it will take for the results to improve. But a lot of people in this world are much more attracted to fantasy. Things that will just make them happy. A lot of people are not committed to improvement, especially when it comes to responsibility. A lot of us just like the jokes. For instance, I don't understand why Africans should still be going to work up. I really don't understand. When you can't even get your hospital beds correctly set out, and you spend millions sending people to go and play football. I don't get it. But as humans as we are, anything that will make people happy and amused and forget the problems, that is where a lot of people will pay attention to. Most people will not pay attention to the things that they have to do to develop and change their narratives. A lot of us buy lies. They tell you that, money is not everything. Everything is not like that. We have to have time to play. Listen, if we can't get the basis right, if we can't get our humanity right, if we can't get our education right, if we can't get our health system right, if we can't get our food right, our housing right, our waste right, our electricity right, there are a lot of places in our cities which still don't have water. There's no point for us paying a lot of money to chase football, which we have chased all this while, and we still have primary problems as a people. I think that we should solve these things, and then you can look at the other things that those who have solved them are chasing. So if you don't have a job, you have no business going to look at the work up. You have to work on that. You have to set that rightly. You have to work on that. You have to go and get a job and get your life in order. There's no point trying to waste a lot of hours watching all this football when the basic things that you have not been able to solve them. It means that you are not clear in your thinking. That's a proof that you don't want to improve your life, because the things that worry you, the pain that you are going through every day, you should not amuse them by games. You should just pay attention. The fact that the proof of you thinking rightly is when the very things that you have to solve with your life, you pay attention to them and you solve them with sense of agency, with sense of, you want to take charge of your environment. When you are clear in your thought, you take charge of your environment. Things that have to be done, You give some sense of agency to them, and you do them, and you do them well. You don't give a lot of things to opinions and debate, things that you have to do to save lives, things that you have to do to get results, to become productive. Those things, you don't put them on hold, and you don't subject them to argument and debate. But the very things that you have to subject them to debate, you don't. The games, the sports, the entertainment are the things that we subject to debate. The things that have got to do with human lives, improvement, productivity, progress, those things we don't have to subject to debate. But unfortunately, when we are not clarified in our thought, the very things that we have to do to get our lives going and develop, we trivialize them, we give them to debate, and that's where we laugh a lot. We smile when we don't have to smile. When things are killing lives, that's where we joke with it, because our thoughts are not clarified. So all humans who don't have their thoughts clarified are beaten by the environment. So when it rains, there's flood when it doesn't have to be flood. And yet we still will have a lot of money for sports. We still will have a lot of money for comedy. We still will have a lot of money for occasions, because we have not set our thoughts rightly. If you're a parent and you can't pay the school fees, but you still have money to go and do the child's birthday party, it means that your thoughts are not set rightly. When you put your responsibility on somebody, it means that you lack clarity of thinking. When you push your finances to somebody, it means that you don't have clarity of thinking. When you are confused with what to do with your life, why are you alive? What is your purpose? What is your calling? What are your gifts? What are the things that get your attention? What is it that you want to do with your life? What is it that you do to get fulfillment? Do you pay attention to them? Do you develop yourself? Do you become better? If you're clear in your thought, those are the things that you pay attention to. Now, when you're not clear in your thought, you pay attention to everything else, but the things that will give you freedom and security and liberty and fulfillment in life. You become afraid of taking risk when you are not thoughtful. When you are not clear in your thought. When you become clear in your thought, you start to get confidence. You start to believe that you can take charge of your life. You start to believe that you can set your life rightly. If you're a business person, when you're not clear, you will never work on your ethics. You will never work on your, when you're not clear as to what it takes to build a business, you never work on the things rightly. You never work on your finances. You never work on your systems. You never work on your team. You never even set the business rightly, because you're not you're not clear in your thinking. You don't know what it takes to build a business. You don't know it, and you don't want to study it because your thought is clumsy. And a lot of people's life are like that. And the more unclarified your thoughts are, the more complicated your life becomes, the more unfulfilled your life becomes, the more pain you get, because you don't clear your thoughts. So clarity of thought is seen in our personal lives, is seen in our families, and obviously it is seen in our country and how it is organized. All over Africa, you can see that these people still have not clarified their thought. You can see it. We have a lot of things that we can do rightly, but we still are not sure. We're still not thoughtful. We're still not clear with which decisions. When you're clear, you make right decisions. You make right choices. When you're clear, you work on your ethics. You work on your character. When you're clear in your thoughts, you believe that you can do little, you can do much with the little that you have in your hands. So clarity of thought. If you are not clear, you are the ones copying everybody. You are the ones full of when you hear entertainment, Beyonce is doing this, you are the one copying it. You are waiting for Beyonce to come up with something, and you copy. And they don't change your life, because you're not clear with who you are. You are not clear with what you can do with your life. You're not clear with where your life is going. When you're clear, there's a lot that you can save. You stop to waste time when you're clear in your thought. You stop to waste money when you're clear in your thought. The more you waste time, you waste money, you waste resources, it's because you are not clear in the things that you have to do with your life. So clarity of thought is everything. Our lives reflect the clarity that we have in our thought. Our decisions, our choices, they reflect that. Even the peace that we have. When somebody comes around you, how organized you are is a proof of the clarity that you have in your thought. The clarity of thought is responsible for how much focus you are with your life. If you cannot focus on anything, it's because you're not clear in the way you process information. You cannot choose when you are doubt, when you're always in doubt, and you can't be sure which way to go. It's because you have not worked on your clarity of thinking. And you cannot be clear in your thinking until you start to work on the information that comes to you, the quality of information that comes to you. There's a lot of people who debate on everything, but accept the things that will improve them. The things that will improve you, those are the things that you pay attention to. Because life is so short. The other day you were 10 years, now you are 30 years. And the more you hold on as to the clarity with your thought, the more you delay in your life. And if you're not clear, you give your life, you hang your life in somebody. You pack your life and you wait for somebody to come and help you because you're not clear with your thoughts. And so my name is Kwabena. I'm sharing with you clarity of thought. And I'm saying that the physical that you see, whether it's in your life or whether it's in my life, the physical that I see, whether it's in my company or my country, they reflect the clarity of my thought. If my thoughts are clear, they will show in my choices. They will show in my dressing. They will show in my environment. They will show in how I handle my finances. They will show in how I treat people. They will show in how I do things. If my thoughts are clear, they will show in the level of peace around me, how I treat people, the love that I share with people, the character, the ethics, how I do things. When my thoughts are clear, they will show in those. When my thoughts are not clear, everything else around me will be confused. I will not know how to take care of myself. I will not know how to take care of people. I will not know how to do things rightly because my thoughts are not clear. So start to work on your thought. Read well. Start to. Sometimes you may have to take a break, from everything and sit down and see who are you, where is your life going, what is it that all this while, what is it that you have become an expert in, what is it that you are so much passionate about, what do you understand about yourself, what do you understand about where you are going? Because if you don't work on that, you will never have the ability to enjoy the peace of God and the peace of life. Sometimes it's not because of the problems around you. Sometimes it's because your thoughts are not clear. You have not really set your thought rightly. That's why little things get you panic. That's why you become so much hysterical and fearful, even over things that should not get you to fear, because you are not clear in your thought. When you are not clear in your thought, anybody else can make any decision for you and you follow. It's unfortunate sometimes, even when you're going somewhere and you look at, let's say, when you go to hospital, for instance, you take somebody to hospital and look at how the doctors or the nurses are handling the person. If you're clear in thought, you should be able to question. This one is in a critical situation. Why are you putting the person down and doing things as if life, when it's lost, can just be gotten back? But when you're not clear in your thought, you just assume that the guys, they know everything that you're doing. And a lot of the times they don't even know what they are doing. And you will see it in how they handle life and the sense of urgency that they place with the things that they do there. So most people in our country may not be clear in their thought that much. He's a manager somewhere, you send him an email, he never replies. And when you call him, he says that, oh, I just saw your email, I thought that I'll reply. And the email has taken 3 months, 3 days, and he's not responding. There are a lot of people who are not clear in the work that they do, because they are not paying attention. When you are clear in your thought, you pay attention to get results. You don't just want to go through the motions. You're going to get results. And if you're not getting results, you want to question, why are we not getting the results? Because you're clear in your thought. Until you're clear in your thought, your life will never improve. Until you're clear in your thought, your finances will never improve. Until you're clear in your thoughts, your relationships will never improve. Until you're clear in your thoughts, your business will never improve. Because everything that grows, everything that improves, they improve out of clarity of thought. They are intentional. Nothing that grows and becomes huge and spreads is by mistake. They are deliberate. And there is no any deliberate attempt to do anything without clarity of thinking. Especially not consistently, not consistently. You cannot do anything consistently without clarity of thought. You cannot do anything that is so much predictable and that is sequential, that is systematic or systemic, that you are not thoughtful, that you are not clear in your thought. So clarity of thinking is everything. You are not going to improve your finances if you're not clear in your thinking. So almost all of us, there was a time that we were not clear in our thought. When you started the business, maybe for the first 3 years, you were not clear in your thought as to what you were doing. Maybe in the marriage, you were not clear, so you didn't know what was required of you. You didn't know what you were supposed to do. That's why you could not get results. You fail today, tomorrow you pass. You fail today, tomorrow you pass. If you see a student who is always failing, it's because he's not clear in his thought as to what he has to do to get results. So you have to work on your thought. There's a lot of assumptions that most of us have grown up with in a kind of environment. So we are waiting for everybody. And we never hold responsibility. We never hold ourselves responsible as to, if I'm not getting the results, if I'm not getting the progress, it means that it is me. Most people are just waiting for somebody. Sometimes they're even waiting for God. And there are a lot of religious cliches. There are a lot of things that you want to put on God, and you wait for 20 years and that thing is not improving because you are not clear in your thought. When you are clear in your thought, a lot of issues in this life is in your thinking. It's in the way you look at issues. So your life is not going to improve until you're clear in your thought. The way you handle your time. If you waste a lot of time to joke and have fun and go to parties and do all those things, it's because you're still not clear in your thought. The moment you become clear, you focus so much on productivities. You focus so much on what you want to achieve with your life. You focus so much on your dreams. You focus so much on the things that you can do to improve lives, things that you can do to change lives and affect destinies. You become so much committed to the higher call. Things that are trivial don't get your attention so much when you have clarified your thought. When you have clarified your thoughts, things that get your attention are things that are so much important, things that can change a lot of things. There was a time that a friend was talking to somebody, and he asked that, see, all these young women who are moving around is because they don't have directions from people, and people like yourself, people like myself can help them to improve. And the person said that, but are their destinies linked to mine? That is a statement from somebody who has no clarity in thinking. If you don't see the others struggling, and if you don't see it as you being responsible, and you only focus on your career and your business and your dream, and nobody else gets your attention, it means that you are not clear in your thought. So you don't know the things that have so much dear in this life, things that are that much important in this life. You don't know them because you are eating pizza and kelewele and having fun, and you're just playing with your children. And you think that, especially a lot of women, they think that their only duty is to come and marry, give birth to children, and that's all. You're not clear in your thinking. There's more than just coming to marry and give birth to your children and taking care of your children. There's more. You are more gifted than that, to just marry and give birth and take care of your children. There's something in you that the world needs. But until you're clear in your thought, you will never value yourself as somebody who can bring change. The reason why we still continue to stagger as a continent is because a lot of our people are not clear in their thought. So they never offer responsibility that much fast. They never offer responsibility that much quickly because they have not defined themselves. You cannot define yourself. You cannot define your gift. You cannot even define your passion and your mission in this life if you're not clear in your thought. If you're not clear in your thought, you'll be the one that you do your masters, 2 masters, 3 masters, 4 masters, 3 PhDs, 20 degrees, getting certificates, and you have no results to prove apart from the certificates that you have because you're not clear in your thought. Because you think that we have to go to everywhere to get degrees. But when you are clear in your thought, with just small education, you can do a lot. You can do a lot because you're clear, you are precise, you know what you want in your life. So there's a lot that has to happen if you want to become productive in this life. And one of it will be the clarity of your thought. The proof of your life, the benefit that you enjoy in this life, whether it's peace at home, peace within yourself, at the organization that you have around you, how much jubilant you are, whatever you are doing, They are coming from the clarity of your thought. You know, the more confused you are, the more confused your life is. The more confused you are, the more confused the business is. The more confused you are, the more confused the family is. The more confused you are, the more confused the country is. The more confused they are, the more confused the continent is. So the physical is just a reflection of the confusion in the mind. You know, so the moment we start to separate them, we start to put things rightly in our mind, the moment we start to organize. A lot of our people cannot do much until we get their thought rightly. If you want to improve people's life can only be improved because of the information that they have. The more information and the more knowledge, the more understanding that are available to a lot of people, the more they can get their clarity, the more they can get their thought right. So the more quality information that they have, the more they can improve, the more they can structure, the more they can organize. Never ever trick yourself to think that you can develop on disorganization, on chaos, on when things are not done rightly. It doesn't happen like that. So the more clarified in your thought, the more organized your life will be. You know, and the more clarified that I am, the more organized that my life will be. The more clarified that I am in my thought, the more my environment, my family, my business, you know, will be organized. Because everything else that you see around us, they are just coming from the clarity of thought that we have. And so all the assumptions that we grew up with, if we have not clarified them, if we not said them rightly, they will be responsible for the lack of results that we are seeing all around us as a people. So clarity of thought is very much important that you decide on that. As a man, as a woman, you decide on that. You decide that I want to be clear in my thinking. And where you are not getting results, where you are getting confused, where you are getting pain, where you are getting, this results is dragging, wherever in your life that there is a lot of pain, is because we have not clarified those thoughts there. And so work on them. Work on them. Until you work on them, until you separate the thought rightly, until you separate the right thought from the wrong thoughts, until you separate those things in your life, no results is going to get. You are not going to get any results. The other day somebody sent me a lot of things that he wants to do. I said that no, separate them. You have to focus on the ones that you can do and do well. Sometimes when you are ambitious, you can combine a whole lot of things. You want to become a doctor, you want to become an engineer, you want to become a lawyer, you want to become a nurse, you want to become the president, all of them at the same time. Or you want to build this business, build 1,000 business at the same time. It means that you are confused, and yet you have not been successful even with one. When the moment you become clear, you want to focus on one and at least start to understand what you're doing, start to get results in that. Then maybe if you want to do some add-ups, you can do that. But you cannot start when you have not achieved anything with so many. It means that you are still confused. It means that your thoughts are not clear. It means that you don't know what you're doing at all, and that can make you delay for years. So the more the more thoughtful you are, the more clarified you are in your thinking, the more you get organized as to what to do, the more you are clear with the strategy that you want to use to achieve what. Sometimes we get a lot of motivation, a lot of encouragement, but then there is no strategy to get the results. When you are clear, it's not just the motivation alone, but then you want to have results. You want to have the strategy, you want to have the plan, you want to have the roadmap to get to these results. Sometimes they just encourage us, all these radio stations and all these people encouraging us, but they just pump us without realistic strategy to get the results. The more clarified you are in your thought, the more you will sit down to say that, okay, I want to do this, and this is what is going to take me to get it done. This is how much I will need. These are the people that I will get. These are the environment that I have to be in to get the results. The more clarified you are, the more closer you are to reality as to what works. But when you are not clear in your thought, you live in a fallacy. You live in an illusion. You live somewhere. So you can meet some young boys who talk big, but they have not set the foundation right. And that's why sometimes when you meet some people, we live in a place where we celebrate people who have no results to prove what they say they do. You know, so you have people advising government who have never run a government before, but they know everything that the president must do, and yet they have never run anything. What they have mastered is just giving advice to the president. And sometimes I'm amazed. If you know all these things, why are you not going to do it? The best form of clarity is the inspiration that you get out of what you do. You know, so I practice. Maybe I say that I'm trying to build business. I'm learning how to build business. Those are the things that I master. Those are the things that I commit my life to study. That's a clarity of thinking, because this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm doing. When you're clear in your thought, you focus more on what you're doing, and you master it. You want a lot of revelation. You want a lot of knowledge in that, because that's where you can get results. When you're focused, when you're clear in your thought, that's where you know where to push your energy to get results. And so when you say that let's say you want to build a business, you are a business person, that is where you study more. You study, you go for information in that, because that's what you want to do with your life. Let's say you want to become a referee. Your attention should be how to get the right information to become the best in that area. You know, maybe you want to say you want to become an engineer. You want to become a lawyer, but all that you are mastering something that has nothing to do with law. It means that you are not clear in your thought. You don't know what you want. And the more you don't know what you want, the more you will never be effective, and the more you cannot achieve anything with your life. You know, so when you are clear in your thinking, you know what to do with your life. You know where to place your energy. You know where to focus. You know how to harness the things that are in you to get results. When you're clear in your thought, you know how to handle your time. You know how to handle your resources. You know how to do things to get the results that you want with your life. Because you're not going to live for 1,000 years. You're going to live barely maybe 80, 70, 90, you know, and people even nowadays go that much faster than we expected. Which means that the little time that you have on this earth, whatever impression that you want to make with your life, whatever mark that you want to make with your life, focus your energy on that and make some mark there. You know, at least make some mark there. Whatever that you are doing with your life. If you're an actor, there's no point that you say you're an actor and then you don't study about that, but you're studying about something else. Whatever that your energy, whatever you spend your energy to study, that's what you have to master. And so if you're an actor and you don't like studying about it, then maybe you're not an actor. You know, so when you're clear in your thought, you know that without proper input, you will not get the output. You don't deceive yourself. The more you invest in anything, the more results that you get. You know, so when you're clear in your thought, that is what you do. You know that until you pay your dues, nobody will allow you to enter. And you become responsible for your life. When you're clear with your thought, you take responsibility for your life. You don't hope that somebody else will come from somewhere to help you. You want to do what you want to do with what you have, and with where you are. You never spend time trying to worry and cry about that which didn't work out. About maybe your father didn't take care of you, your mother didn't take care of you, or you didn't even have anybody. When you are clear in your thought, you don't want to waste your time and your energy on that. You don't waste your energy trying to correct the things that you cannot correct in the past. You want to use your energy to create the future that you want. It means that you are clear in your thought. You are clear in your thought. You spend energy to create the future that you want. It means that you're clear in your thought. So the more you're clear in your thought, the more you will do the things that are said rightly. The other day somebody else was saying that some of the money that we have been spending on some of these quizzes that they do on TV, what have you had out of it? And I saw some people trying to make a lot of intelligent decisions out of it. The fact is that we are not clear. We are not clear. What we want is for people to come to become, we want to produce a lot of doctors, a lot of engineers, a lot of professions from the sciences that we want to do. It's not a quiz. The quiz is not going to produce those things. It's just a game that we are playing. 30 years, if you push a lot of these guys into factory, into machine production, into going to China to go and study how products are re-engineered or reverse engineered, if you were sending a lot of these guys to go and do attachment in the Asian countries, in India, in China, sometimes even in Brazil or in South Africa, and we were sending a lot of these guys there. Every year we send about 1,000. Go and study electronics, go and study construction, go and study agriculture, go and study medicine. Go into the factory, not in the classrooms, with a deliberate plan, and we're clear in our thought. After 30 years, a lot of these guys will be coming back, and they will be coming back with better, not just head knowledge, but with practical tools, practical skills to help us to build up our industries, But when you're not clear in your thought, you just do things anyhow, and you don't even know the meaning of what you're doing. So we are not clear on that. We just believe that, just do them, they do mathematics, and people will say, Pokuare has won, Prep College has won. It's just a game. It's just like football. It's not going to inspire that much. If you want, what is the essence of that? The essence of that is that you want to create a feed for industries. And so if you want to create feed for industries, then send them to go to practice in industries. Spend money, send them, let them go and learn. And when they come, let people set industries and let them work there. Then possibly that could become a base for industrialization, something like that. But when you're not clear in your thought, you debate on things that are not getting results, and you still think that you're right. And as usual, as Ghanaians as we are, nobody is wrong. We all are very much right in our little ways, and we still continue to cry and talk about why we are not developing, or why our developmental, the pace is that slow. It's because you are not clear as to what you want. The moment you are clear with what you want, you will know the required materials to get the results that you want. So my name is Kwabena. I am talking about clarity of thinking. And clarity of thinking affects our personal lives, it affects our companies, our professional lives, it affects the development of our continent, of our country. The more clear you are in your thought, the more you will ask questions as to which is working and that which is not working. So if it's not working, you will ask questions. And you ask questions as to why is it not working? And what can we do to make it work? You are not complaining, you are not running away from responsibility. You are ready to face it, to create the value, to create the solutions, to get results, because you are clear in your thought. When you are not clear in your thought, you wait for somebody else to come and help you. Wait for somebody else to be responsible. You blame people when you're not clear in your thought. If you have any vision for your life, if you have any desire to become anything, and you're clear in your thought, you want to start it. You are not waiting for somebody else, to come and push you to start. So lack of clarity of thinking is what is responsible for people not becoming anything. But when you so much desire to become something with your life, you want to set those things rightly, because what is going on here is what is going on in our lives. What is the physical things that we see, they reflect the kind of things that we think about all the time. And if you are clear, the moment you complain about things that we don't want to do anything to improve, it means that we are not clear with our thoughts. So if you're not happy with the finances and you continue to blame somebody else but not yourself, it means that you are not clear yet. The moment you are clear, you want to take responsibility for your finances. The moment you are clear, you want to take charge of anything that is not working in your life. Because then you get to understand that until I get clear here, I know what to do, nothing is going to improve. So my name is Kwabena. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.